In 1944, 50 men went to sea but never came back. Their submarine U-455, once feared in battle, simply vanished without a trace. For decades, no one had a single clue about what happened to it. It was as if the sea itself had swallowed it whole. What was supposed to be just another patrol turned into an unforgettable tragedy. Families questioned and historians wondered about its fate. And in 2005, divers searching the seabed stumbled upon a chilling sight. The missing submarine, preserved almost perfectly in darkness. Its hatches were sealed. Inside, the crew was still there, entombed in their submarine since World War II. This is the haunting story of a submarine that has remained hidden beneath the waves for 60 years, but now the sea has finally revealed its truth. To understand the fate of U-455, we need to go back to the height of World War II, when the oceans were battlegrounds and submarines were among the deadliest weapons. During World War II, the German Kriegsmarine deployed hundreds of U-boats across the Atlantic and the Mediterranean with one simple mission: starve Britain and its allies by cutting off supply lines. So they came up with a strategy, both smart and cunning. They used U-boats in wolf packs to attack Allied merchant convoys. If a U-boat located a convoy, it would shadow it and report its course and speed to German Naval Command. It would also summon other U-boats in the area. Then, all the U-boats would gather and attack the convoy on the surface. They would leave behind nothing but burning wrecks. This strategy proved successful for Germans for quite some time, but later, the Allied forces came up with advanced radar technologies to counter this problem, which reduced the efficiency of this strategy. However, it would not be wrong to say that the German U-boats were silent hunters during the early years of war, and among these silent hunters, one was U-455, a Type 6C submarine. Her mission was simple: strike swiftly, silently, and disappear beneath the waves. It was the symbol of power and invincibility. Its crew was considered the elite of the Navy. This Atlantic boat of the German Navy was built in Kiel and launched on June 21, 1941. She was the pride of the German Navy, 67 meters long, 6 meters wide, with a maximum surface navigation speed of 17 knots. For underwater navigation, her electric motors provided a speed of 7.6 knots. This U-boat was a clear image of the German Navy, but no one knew that her fate would become one of the war's most haunting mysteries. The first mission of U-455 was under the command of Hans Heinrich Giesler, the man who had guided his crew through both failure and success. This U-boat was first assigned to the Norwegian coast. Her purpose was the hunt for Allied vessels, but her first few patrols were unproductive. She returned with empty hands, but her third foray was better. This time, she did not return empty-handed. She managed to sink the British Workman and the British G.O.H. Jones. But after that, success became a rare thing for U-455. By 1943, the tide of war was turning. The Atlantic was heavily patrolled by British destroyers and aircraft. Moreover, advanced radar technologies also put British defense at the forefront. The task became difficult. The hunt became a risk. In 1944, U-455's orders changed. Germany had shifted its focus to the Mediterranean. Now, U-455 was assigned another task: enter the Mediterranean and disrupt Allied shipping. It was a far deadlier assignment. The Mediterranean was narrower, shallower, and more closely watched by Allied aircraft and naval forces. Moreover, one had to avoid German minefields too for successful missions. There was less room to hide, and every patrol became a gamble. In the Mediterranean, U-455 had to cross the heavily defended Strait of Gibraltar, which was not an easy task. In early 1944, the U-boat set out on what would be her final mission, a patrol from which she and her crew would never return. By this time, the war had turned against Germany. Even the Mediterranean had become a deadly trap for German U-boats. But still, U-455 set out to follow the orders. U-455 began its last patrol on February 22, 1944, departing from Toulon, France. During this patrol, it was assigned to the 29th U-boat flotilla, which was stationed in La Spezia, Italy. Somewhere near the Algiers coast, she sent a routine signal to her command. After that, it was sheer silence. There was no distress call, no emergency message, nothing. The submarine just disappeared. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months, but the submarine failed to return. After several months, the submarine was officially declared missing. Families of the crew members got the heartbreaking notifications. Their sons, brothers, and husbands were missing. They were believed to be lost at sea, but there was no wreckage, no survivor, and thus no explanation. It was as if the sea had swallowed U-455 whole, leaving no clue behind. Years later, rumors circulated. Had she hit a mine? Or did Allied ships destroy her in an attack? Or maybe a malfunction sealed her crew's fate. A submarine was gone. 50 men were lost, and there was no clue, no sign, and no evidence. For years, historians and naval experts debated her fate. Some believed that the U-455 was not given the updated maps of the minefields laid by the Germans, and it struck one while leaving her base. Others suspected she had fallen victim to Allied vessels or aircraft. A few even wondered if a mechanical failure had doomed her without warning, but there was no clear evidence, and the families of the crew members were left with unanswered questions and unshakable grief. For decades, it remained a mystery, and then 60 years later, divers exploring the Ligurian coast made a startling discovery. Deep beneath the waves, the remains of a submarine were found. In 2005, a team of Italian divers set out on a mission to explore the seabed off the coast of Liguria. Inside the cold, dark, and unpredictable water, a few expected to find anything extraordinary. But as the divers descended deeper, a shape began to emerge from the darkness. At first, they thought it was a rock formation or debris, but as their lights moved closer, the mystery was revealed, preserved on the seabed. It was a submarine, lying at a depth of 120 meters. Its bow was pointing upwards. The hull was heavily vegetated and full of diverse life, oysters, anemones, and much more. Lobsters, flagfish, and crabs had made their home in the wreck. The hatches were sealed shut. They were never opened since the day it went down. Inside, the crew of the submarine remained, entombed in their steel coffin beneath the sea. For the divers, it was a chilling realization. They were not just swimming through a wreck, they were entering a graveyard. Each corridor, each chamber within the submarine had been frozen in time since 1944. At first, it was not an easy task to identify the submarine. There were no numbers. The wreck was covered with marine growth, hiding its identity. It was as if the wreck itself had become a part of the ocean. So, identification of the U-boat was difficult. But after careful inspections, it was confirmed to be U-455. The submarine that vanished without a trace had resurfaced after 6 decades. The mystery had been solved, but not completely. The submarine showed signs of damage. The rear of the vessel was missing, which suggested an explosion, but the exact cause remained uncertain. Even after her discovery, U-455 refused to reveal all the secrets. For decades, the mystery of U-455 was like a ghost story. There was no trace, no clue of where it had gone and what had happened to it. But its discovery had not just uncovered a lost submarine. It had also given a name to men who had been forgotten over time. The submarine, once feared as a hunter, became a victim of its fate. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more historical mysteries.